We are rolling now here on Undisputed. Now to the NFL. Now to Tom Brady, the Buccaneer. Yep, he's a Buccaneer. On ESPN.com, Ian O'Connor writes about the oft-stated philosophy of Bruce Arians of win or lose, we booze. And Ian also writes about one friend of Tom Brady saying that he was Belichicked out after 20 years and was looking forward to this philosophy of Bruce Arians of, hey, let's go grab a couple of beers and sneak in 9 holes, that Tom Brady would find that philosophy refreshing. However, some around the NFL, according to Ian O'Connor, have issues with that for Tom Brady, saying that this is going to make him quickly miss the Belichick philosophy of this, almost maniacally dedicated and disciplined philosophy and structure and approach. So, Shannon Sharp, do you think that Tom Brady will soon have a problem with Bruce Arians?
Well, Skip, when you've heard a singular voice for 20 years, it's going to take some getting used to. For me, Skip, my years with Denver, with Mike Shanahan, everybody was on time. You showed up to the meeting. Nobody walked into the meeting late. Well, I go to Baltimore and guys, Brian is standing up there talking in the morning meeting and guys are still filing in. Skip, that bothered me. I'm like, wait a minute. Were you moonlighting? Last I checked, everybody's making enough money. This should be your only job. You should be able to get here on time. And for me, my thought process was, Skip, why the hell you think your time is more important than mine? If I got up and got here on time, you should get up and get on time. So I'm sure there might be instances and situations where things that Tom knows would not fly in New England, where Bruce Arians let fly in Tampa. And I think the biggest thing Skip, I believe that they probably already had this conversation. The only thing that I told Brian, Skip, when I signed Brian Billick, who was the head coach, the only thing that I told him, I said, you can coach me. You can coach me hard, even in front of the team, but you can't curse me. That's all I ask of you is don't curse me, because I'm not receptive to that, and you're not going to like what you're going to get back in return. So, Skip, I believe Tom Brady has already had a conversation with Bruce, kind of what the expectations are. Now, for me, Skip, this notion in coaches, and for the most part, most NFL coaches believe in this. If you don't spend at least 14 hours in the office a day, Skip, you're not getting anything done. I don't believe that. I believe that if I can get my work done, if I'm watching tape, and I watch it a couple of times, Skip, I'll go back and I look at it like, okay, I see a tendency here, such and such and so on. Skip, this notion that you got to spend 14 hours is kind of like taking a test. They say, well, okay, you got to have 2 hours to finish this test. Skip, if I finish the test in an hour, why am I just going to sit there just because they gave me 2 hours? If I finish the test, I'm going to get up, turn it in, and I'm leaving. If you've done your work, Skip, how much tape can you watch? If you've done your work, go home. You ain't fooling nobody, but the objective is to work smarter, not harder. So I think Tom is going to watch film how he watches film. Now, he might, just because, Bruce beats him out of there, because, Coach, he never beat Coach Belichick out of the office. It's hard for me to believe that he beat Coach Belichick in the office. Well, that might turn around, and that might rub Tom the wrong way.
Okay, all great points. And I loved your anecdote about your first meeting in Baltimore when guys are drifting in late and you're like, this won't fly. That was great. Yeah. And I've always said that you and Ray are 2 of the all-time greatest leaders. And I think that even you, beyond Ray, helped reset that culture in Baltimore that year that you won, obviously, your 3rd ring in 3 tries in the NFL. But if we look back at the whole thought process behind Tom Brady choosing out of the blue, out of left field, in the shock of shocks, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I believe one of the reasons was that he knows Bruce Arians, he knows his style is hang loose, and he wanted to go in with the biggest challenge anybody could ever undertake. A coach who has only won 1 playoff game in his career, and that's Bruce Arians. He's 1-2 in the playoffs. Remember, Bruce did win 2 rings with Pittsburgh One was when he was the wide receivers coach. That's when they beat Seattle in the Super Bowl. Second one, they beat Arizona in the Super Bowl, and he was the offensive coordinator. But Bruce, as a head coach, has one playoff win. It was that Saturday night, you might remember, at Arizona against Aaron Rodgers in that wild shootout game. So I believe Tom Brady said, I believe I can teach Bruce almost as much as he can teach me. I can teach Bruce about how to redefine a culture. And Bruce said the first day, the main reason we wanted Tom Brady was for what he could do in our locker room. Not so much on the field, because we all know what Tom can do on the field and in the huddle, but in the locker room. So I believe that Tom looked at this as his greatest challenge, because obviously Tampa Bay, the Succaneers, have been the worst franchise in all of sports with a winning percentage of .387. He said, I'm going to take that team to the Super Bowl this year because the Super Bowl is going to be played in Tampa. No home team has ever played in a home stadium Super Bowl. So Brady's saying, aha, I got a shot there. And remember, Brady, according to the Ian O'Connor story, said to them in the, over the video, I guess they were just on the phone probably, when they first talked on that first Wednesday when it was officially free agency, Tom said to them, I think we've got something here. We've got a chance to be very special. And they were shocked at how much homework Tom had already done on everything, including how good the Todd Bowles' defense was down the stretch over the last 6 or 7 games. They went 4-2 in their last 6 games. And Todd Bowles' defense started to come to life and was having to overcome, as Tom saw in the film, a whole lot of turnovers, 35 total turnovers, 12 more than any other quarterback in the NFL, courtesy of Jameis Winston, that kept putting the defense in hole after hole after hole, the worst inherited field position in all of football last year. So Tom is saying, okay, I'll reset that culture. I'll rebuild it. I'll show Bruce some things, and he can teach me some things. But remember, the great Tom Moore, who coached Peyton in Indy, is also there, and he's very disciplined. And Clyde Christensen's been around. I think he's a hard worker. So I think Tom thought, okay, Bruce was with Peyton in Peyton's first 3 years in pro football. So maybe that structure, Peyton's obviously fanatically dedicated to practicing and film watching. So that probably rubbed off on Bruce Arians. So to me, I look at this as the ideal challenge for Tom Brady. And I think Bruce Arians will start to see and feel that, oh, maybe this is the way I should have been doing it my whole career. Maybe I should be more like Tom. Nobody can match Tom in after practice at home film study because he's obsessed with it. He's like a film nerd at home. So again, Bruce can go have a beer or two after practice. Tom's going home to watch tape. So to me, I don't see that this will be that discouraging to Tom. And there will be also a new fun side of all this that I do think he missed as he got Belichicked for 20 years in New England.
Skip, if you look at it, let's look at this in a political term. Okay, Tom Brady probably was in a situation where you look at, we had President Obama for 12 years, and we go all the way to the right with President Trump. Okay, if you look at how teams normally get coaches, look at Philly. They had Andy Reid. Who did they hire, Skip, right after Andy Reid? Chip Kelly, who's directly opposite of Andy Reid. You look at the Giants. They have Jim Fossil. Who do they hire after Jim Fossil? They hired Tom Coughlin. So you see how the pendulum swings, Skip? It doesn't swing to the middle. It swings way. So you either way over here, and they're like, we got to get way to the right. And then what you try to do is it swings back, and you try to somehow come to the middle. It seems like Tom was way to the right, Skip, and he wanted to come he didn't stop in the middle. He didn't stop 3/4. He went totally to the left because Bruce but from everything I've heard, is a total player's coach. He's very matter of fact. He had no problem. You heard what he said when they asked him about Jameis. He's like, hell, we won with that quarterback. I'm sure we could win with another one. Most coaches wouldn't be that blunt, Skip, But he like, look, get your work done, get home. Most coaches get your work done and find some more work to do. BA is like, okay, we work on the field, we done. We set a certain time, Skip. For Mike, I mean, there was no, okay, we'll do the play tomorrow. If you mess the play up, Mike says, run it again. Mike didn't care. He might, yeah, we had a schedule, Skip. Okay, you set practice hour 45, 2 hours. Sometimes practice was 2 hours and 5 minutes. Mike didn't care if we went over. You was going to do it until you got it right. And if you need to be out there for 3 hours, you're going to be out there for 3 hours. BA seems to be, Skip, look, we're here. We're going to get the work done. Mistakes will be made. But I don't know if that's going to fly, Skip, because Coach Belichick and then Tom is used to getting everything perfect. He wanted everything right on the practice field to be perfect because when it came game time, it would be second nature. And it would have no choice but to be perfect because all you've ever done was do it perfectly.
Okay, I hear you. And I do believe maybe early on, not sure what kind of season we're going to have, how much training.